Have you ever been interested in seeing one of Central America's most iconic bird species with your own two eyes?
We'll talk about our trip to find the Resplendent Quetzal in today's episode of
Polly in Paradise. The Quetzal has been one of my white whales ever since we moved here. It's the national animal of Guatemala, and their currency is even named after them. And historically, this bird has also played a large role in Mesoamerican myths and is closely connected to Quetzalcoatl, a Mesoamerican god. And of course, it's gorgeous.
So since Valentine's Day and the Quetzal mating season occur about the same time of the year, I knew it would make the perfect gift for Brandy. I also scheduled the reservation for the morning after a full lunar eclipse, something I knew she would really enjoy, especially up in the mountains.
It was the perfect gift for someone like me. As a pagan, I have a high level of reverence for nature, the circle of life, and observing the changing of the seasons. As a scientist, I also like astronomical events and conservation efforts. They're near and dear to my heart as well.
So while there's several places to choose from in the Talamanca mountain range, let alone the rest of the country, I settled on a cabina at the Hotel Mirador de Quetzales. It's about 2 hours north of us, right off of the Inter-American Highway in the Talamanca mountain range, between the Central Valley and the El General Valley.
So after dropping off our Scottish Terrier Mac at his groomer's house, we've loaded up with warm clothes for the chilly mountain temps and some mango banana bread that I had made the day before, and we set off up the mountain in our truck. And since it was dry season, it was a relatively uneventful climb, with the only issue along the way being the construction work that's been going on at a point where there was a landslide a few months ago during the rainy season.
The hotel was located only a short distance from the Inter-American Highway on a pretty decent graveled road. Our truck has four-wheel drive, but it wasn't necessary for that particular location. Check-in went smoothly, and we were informed that we needed to place our order for dinner before 5 p.m. that night, as well as what time we wanted dinner. Since there were few other choices nearby, we decided to go ahead and eat at the hotel. We unloaded our things into our cabina, being buzzed by hummingbirds all around us in the process, and Brandy went off to explore the grounds while I had to deal with a few work-related things.
The grounds of the hotel were compact, definitely steep at some places, but they were packed with birds and flowers. So I started up the winding footpaths, taking pictures, videos, and identifying as many birds and plants as I could with my Seek and Merlin apps. And being at a much higher elevation than where we live, 2,700 meters compared to 500, it meant that much of what I was seeing was brand new to me. So after finding the path to where the hummingbird feeders were, I went back to the cabina to see if James was finished.
I had just wrapped up work, so I grabbed my camera and joined Brandy outside. We wound our way back up the paths to the hummingbird feeders, and soon they started buzzing past us and landing on the little perches that the staff had placed near the feeders. There were at least 3 different species that we saw, and we decided to continue upward towards their Mirador, or viewpoint. Being in a cloud forest, we weren't very surprised when the clouds began rolling in after we climbed to the top. Mornings are always the best time to see long distances in Costa Rica, especially in the mountains and regardless of the time of year.
Since we had an early morning with a lunar eclipse to witness in the middle of the night, we went back to our cabina for a while to just marvel at the view from the large picture windows that they have in the seating area in the cabina. It was hard to pick from the food options, but I very much enjoyed the chicken that they made with their own homemade Mora blackberry barbecue sauce, even though it was a little overdone. James had some amazing ravioli, and we split a Caribbean-inspired seafood soup as well. We went to bed early and woke up to our alarms informing us that it was time for totality for the eclipse. And so I got bundled up against that cold night air. And we went outside to witness the glory of it all, including hearing what was likely a coyote howling from somewhere very close by. Shivering, I went back inside the cabin with James to finish our rest, eyes popping open as soon as the next alarm went off at 5 a.m. And I begged James to hand my clothes to me, along with the coffee he'd made, so I could get dressed under the covers, something I used to do during the winter as a kid. As soon as we left the cabina, I thought I immediately heard the quaint yet distinct call of a quetzal, and it sounded so close.
We walked back up to the registration restaurant area to meet our guide, and he had heard the same call. He didn't even have time to introduce himself before he told the rest of our group, in English, follow him. We walked for less than a minute before he spotted a male and female quetzal in a nearby tree. He set up his field scope, and we got the first pictures and videos. We followed the quetzals several times, moving along the trees along the hotel property. Then we heard some of those distinctive calls coming from the forest out to the west of us, and our guide led us through a gate along a well-maintained forest path.
It was there we came to really understand why guides can be so important to employ, especially if you're looking for these shy, small birds. It's much harder to find them when you're surrounded by trees, but he was able to point out to us where a new quetzal nest had been made, along with the aguacatillo, or the little avocado trees that make up a significant portion of their diet. Even as babies, they will eat the fruits whole and then regurgitate the seed. So we had a couple more views of a quetzal, along with some baby flycatchers, another type of bird, and we definitely got our step count in for the day, over sometimes challenging terrain. And after being out for a little over 2 hours, we went back to the hotel for the included breakfast.
More coffee is never a bad thing, and the breakfast was hot and delicious. Since we had a winery tour scheduled at about 11 a.m. that morning, about 40 minutes away, we went back to our cabin after breakfast to pack up, check out, and make our way to the first commercial winery in Central America, where they also make a liqueur from chuvas, also known as golden berries or ground cherries.
That we'll get to in one of our next videos. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to check that bell to be notified when we release that video, along with other videos about our adventures being
Polly in Paradise.
Hi there, YouTube. Hope you're enjoying our content. Don't make Max sad, so please like and subscribe to follow us on our adventures.